Greetings, IB artists. This is Miss A. OMG cray cray. So my last video was an apology. I wanted to resume teaching today, but as you can see, the world is upside down. So I had to refocus my little video and my advice to you about, how to handle. Not that I know how to do this, but I guess my suggestions as to how to deal with this, what I would do if I was in your place, what I would tell you if I was your teacher. I simply mean in that sense. Of course, no one has the answers. I'm shooting out in nature today, even though it has its challenges, because I wanted this video to be a little bit more uplifting, so I hope it works out. There's lots of doggies around, so you'll hear lots of barking. I'll probably do a little video of the doggies as well, just to cheer you up, like I said. So today we're going to be looking at how you can make the best out of this situation as an IB Art student, whether you're in year 1 or in year 2. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is obviously the cancellation of all exams. And I know that some of you are possibly relieved, and some of you are really, really worried that basically you are getting marked on your coursework or how you have done so far. I think it's really important to know that universities and colleges, if that is what you have chosen to do, have been consulted on the situation. So they are well prepared for results to be varied and different to what they normally are because of the extraordinary circumstances that we're all in at the moment. Don't worry too much if that is possible. Trust that the professionals who are marking you, guiding you, and teaching you, I know that a lot of schools have now moved online, that they know what they're doing and that there is some kind of cooperation going on in terms of, this year's cohort graduating successfully. So don't worry about that too much. So if you are planning on going to university or college, my main advice to you would be really don't stop working. And this is because you are deprived of the most focused time where you get to obviously conclude all your work, you get to curate all your work, which takes a lot of reflection, put it up. You get to really see your work as a body of work and how the pieces relate to each other, how they work, and you have to kind of put all this into your curatorial statement, etc. I'm not sure how schools and teachers are coping with this or dealing with this, what kind of instructions they're giving you. I'm hoping that you get to set up some kind of exhibition at home, just in terms of looking at your work as a whole. I think it's really, really important that you really assess what you've done over the 2 years, that you really crystallize the concepts, the strengths, the weaknesses for yourself by doing that, and that you are reflecting on the whole journey, on where you've got to at this point, and really, if you are going to art college in the future, what can you take onto that new journey, new beginning, with you from what you have learned over the last few years. So it's really important that you go through that process of reflection and analysis. I would definitely get you to write your curatorial statement, even if you're not submitting it, because I think it's a very important activity at the end of your 2 years. It's very important to sit there and write out and think about, well, first you have to think about the main concepts that have emerged, the sub-themes or sub-concepts that have emerged as well, because that will tell you a lot about what you're really truly interested in and what you would like to do more of, discover more about, and experiment with, etc. So this is really important information for you to benefit from when you're starting the new phase of your life, even if you're not going to do art ultimately. It is still a satisfying and fulfilling thing to really assess what you've done with the 2020 vision of hindsight. If things were sometimes muddy, for example, while you were in the process of creating this portfolio over the 2 years, that's completely normal. You may have been lost quite a few times, that's great. And now you can kind of step back and really look at it and think about all the stuff that has revealed itself to you. Okay, that's really, really valuable. So I would really strongly urge you to complete the course on your own if need be. I'm sure your teachers are all supporting you, etc. But I think this is really important to take to the end. So that's my advice. I know that it's an incredibly stressful time. I am being facetious in bits of this video. I'm not trying to dismiss the severity of the situation. Probably a lot of you have experienced loss, and if not loss, just the overwhelming stress of being in this situation, not knowing what to do, etc. So I'm not being disrespectful. I'm simply kind of trying to make light of it, because we will get to the end of this. We have a lot to look forward to, and we will come out of this changed and hopefully wiser. So that's my hope anyway. So to kind of break it down, I would strongly advise you to have an exhibition on your own, to really kind of try and work out how you would arrange the pieces, in what order, in what way. I would definitely write out the curatorial statement, because that really gets you to focus. On all the important aspects of your work. The themes and the concepts that have emerged. Some of you may have started with a certain theme. That theme may have changed somewhat. It may have remained the same, but may have been examined in unexpected ways, etc., etc. Sometimes sub-themes and sub-concepts come out as well. Perhaps that you may not have intentionally pursued, but they have emerged possibly halfway through, or at some point on the course, and you have really kind of developed them in a way that is interesting to you. You will also be a lot more aware of the artists that you have studied and how they have inspired you, how they have influenced you. A lot of the time when I look at my own work, and let's say it's been a couple of years since I've really looked at that piece of work, I'm always surprised at how strong the influences that I've had show up. It may not be obvious to other people, but to me, I kind of really, a lot of the time I'm really surprised at how much certain people, certain artists, filmmakers, photographers, musicians, etc. have impacted me in my development as a person and as an artist. So I think this is really, really interesting. Again, if you go off to art school, you will already have your own repertoire of artists who have really, really influenced you, who have really inspired you, who you find really interesting. So you're not starting from, a blank page. Of course, things will be very different once you get to college. And in many ways you'll be starting from scratch in some ways. But that richness should give you the confidence to really know that you've done, similar things before. It won't be as overwhelming when you begin a course, and having gone through it, you are much more prepared for the challenges that are coming ahead. It's getting windier. So not only will you have a repertoire of artists, but you also have a repertoire of your techniques and your skills, of course. And again, you will know what you're comfortable using. You will know what media and what techniques you have mastered. So you will find it a lot easier to express yourself, And so these are the strengths, which you're probably very aware of, but it's also important to know your weaknesses. And again, this comes from reflection, especially if you're looking at your work as a whole. And these are things that you possibly want to work on more, that you kind of know, you're aware that you find a little bit more challenging, and then it's up to you. You either avoid those things and focus more on what you really love to do, or you work more on the things that you feel that you need a little bit of help with. Either way, you're coming to any future course, art course that is, with this, like I keep saying, valuable knowledge about yourself, your abilities, your likes, your dislikes, everything that you've kind of thought about and developed and practiced and improved, etc. over the years. A lot of my students, just before the exhibition, they just feel like they're just beginning to enter an interesting phase of development of their work. So crystallizing all these ideas and reflecting on and analyzing and commenting and writing about it in a focused way will really help you to have very informed presentations if you are going to art college or university, informed interviews. You will be prepared for any questions regarding your work and the specifics of your work. So again, this is a really important part of preparing for the interviews that are coming up for you. And once you get to art college or university, you will be asked to talk a lot about your work. And I think the curatorial statement really prepares you for that. You eliminate all the kind of extras, the waffle, the parts that are unimportant, and you zone in on the really important elements of your work and your process. So now I'm going to talk to the students who are in year 1 of IB. If you are in this situation, I think, again, very, very important not to stop working, not to get left behind, because you will struggle in year 2. Year 2 is intense as it is, not just with art, but with all your subjects. So do as much as you can with the time that you have. I'm aware, again, that you are, stressed out. There's a lot going on. You're adjusting to a new system that is online, etc., etc. But please use this time to really push yourself, to discipline yourself. Watch lots of videos, so many interesting things, free information, especially now from museums, from art galleries, etc., etc. So use any extra time that you have to explore more, experiment more, learn more. All aspects of your research should be really pushed. It may be that you will find that you're a lot more productive and that you're much more interested in the work because there's a flow to it. You're not running to your next lesson or to lunch or whatever it is. So you have a lot more flexibility with your time, and of course a lot more responsibility with what you do with your time. Of course we can all waste time. We know this is easy when you're at home. The goal, if you like, is to make the best out of the situation, because it is a very specific situation, it's a very special situation, and your teachers and your parents can only help you so much. So take charge, be strong, be disciplined, and try and enjoy it as much as you can and get the most out of it. Right? So try and treat it as an advantage that you are at home, that you are not interrupted in some ways. Right, so I'm not your teacher, but my suggested to-do list for any IB art students, whether you're in the first year or the second year, don't fall behind with your work. Really what I'm talking about is time management. Try and meet the deadlines that have been set. And of course you're getting help from your teachers to stay on track. But again, you have a little bit more flexibility, so make sure that you rise up to the challenge of keeping your time and keeping on top of things. It is one of the best skills in life because, and I'm not one of those people who believes that you should be working, your life away every minute of the. Of course, it is important to pause. It is important to reflect. It is important to relax, to just hang out. It is important to be in the flow of things as well, even when you're working, right? Especially a lot of artists will tell you that one of the biggest enemies of creativity and productivity as an artist is interruptions, because they axe that flow. However, deadlines and time restrictions are also very helpful in focusing you. So basically what I'm saying is you now have the flexibility to really experiment with what works for you best. Are you someone who really needs to be very, very precise with your time? I need to set an hour for this. Otherwise, if I don't have a time restriction, I just get lost or I get distracted. I'm more focused when I have a time limit, etc. Again, this is up to you now, and like I said, this is one of the most important skills in life, generally speaking. So you will thank yourself later. Definitely stay in touch with your teachers. They're going through a tough time too, and they are really doing their best to guide you, to teach you, to motivate you, and to keep you on track. So make sure that you don't neglect checking in with your teacher, talking to your teacher, having regular meetings, etc. Very, very important. Explore online resources. As I've already said, there's so much online right now, absolutely free. Don't underestimate it. Don't get overwhelmed. I mean, it's really easy to get, to go down that rabbit hole if you're on YouTube and you just end up, I don't know, watching videos on facial yoga or how to build a yurt. Nothing wrong with those subjects. However, if you're, trying to actually get something done and to watch something specific, there's so many distractions. But stay on track. Deepen your experimentation and exploration. Again, you have more of a chance to really get into the flow when you're working on your art project. Go deeper, push things further. And especially if you're in year one. But even if you are not, if you're preparing to go to art college, art university, push things, keep going, because all this will come in handy. Especially if you're in year one, but also in year two, document, address, explore the situation that we're in. Don't ignore it. This is such a unique opportunity to look at so many issues. Everything from politics to human behavior. There's so many positive things have come out. The human cooperation. How people have banded together. I mean, look at the social media, how many memes. There's so much going on to keep us all smiling, to keep us all amused and entertained, etc. There's a lot of cooperation going on between different countries. But of course, we also see the very negative side where people have become extremely territorial, racist attacks, the misinformation on what is going on, people using the virus to push their own agenda. Lots of ugly stuff has come out of this as well. So that's such an interesting theme and situation to be looked at, to be examined. Yet so much can emerge from that. So I wouldn't let this just pass by. Find ways of expressing that in your work. Everything from self-isolation. Does it make you more compassionate to those who live in isolation? Does it bring up questions? How does isolation impact your mental state, your mental health? Is social media a substitute for friends, or is it good enough in times like this? The technology aspect of this whole situation as well is so crucial right now. But what if that went as well? I mean, you could look at it from a kind of an apocalyptic way in terms of what will emerge from this experience. We don't know, of course, but you can kind of, make assumptions. We've already kind of seen that, nature is very, very powerful in many ways. Lots of people are reverting to this idea of being self-sufficient. Globalization right now has its pluses and its minuses. So what I'm saying is, there's so much there. It's such a rich topic and it's happening right now. You are a witness. Again, a very, very rich source of material to be explored. The number one thing that I think all our students should be doing, most of the time, is to draw, draw, draw. Very, very important. Use the people that you're at home with. Use your family as models. Use your pets as models. Look out the window, your view. Everything from most mundane objects. Make sure that you are drawing self-portraiture that could be linked to exploring the situation that we're in now, or not. I've often said that drawing is really one of the most important activities, because it is so much more than just skill. It is observation, processing, it's studying something, it's analyzing something, it's evaluating something, it is coordination, hand and brain. It's just such a kind of multi-dimensional task that it really just is essential, I think, even if you're never going to use it again. So draw, draw, draw as much as you can. Look at artists, especially women in the past, who were somehow isolated at home with their children, with their pets. Look at their work. I'm gonna list a few so that you can look at them. But their work is very interesting, and a lot of time it was dismissed as not being very important work because women were not out there dealing with politics and money and all the important things in our society. So that could be quite interesting to make parallels between those artists and what you're doing yourself in terms of drawing more domestic kind of topics. If you're looking at relationships and intimacy, etc., etc. So that could be a really interesting offshoot of you drawing things that you are surrounded by in the home. So the last thing I'm going to say is please stay positive. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It is a horrible time right now, but there's so many things emerging from this that could be really, really positive. So stay strong, stay resilient, stay positive, don't take unnecessary risks, not for yourself, not for the people that you love. Keep working, keep drawing, stay curious, and definitely check out the online resources that are so abundant at the moment. If you join me on Facebook, I post something art related every single day. So that could be, one thing that you can add to your routine. Check out what I've posted on Facebook. But, you don't have to. There's so much out there, so use it. Okay? All the best from me. I am with you in spirit. You can do this. We can do this. So keep going. Okay? This is Miss A. All the best. Thank you.